Over 2,500 delegates representing around 1,750 companies from 85 countries are attending Discop 2015 in Sandton, Johannesburg. It is the single most important international platform for film producers, TV broadcasters and media practitioners.
Discop is not only a great opportunity for local content producers to network with potential buyers to form lucrative ventures, but it's also a great opportunity to interact with organizations like the Africa Media Institute, amongst others, that are involved in panel discussions and dialogue sessions to raise, for example, issues of transformation affecting the Africa media landscape, and also to raise issues that local content producers should be aware of if they want to stay ahead of their game.
Well, if you speak to any content producer now, he or she will tell you that their major problem is funding. But I am looking at it from another angle. I say it is not funding. The major problem is the business of content producing. The business, to understand the business model, to understand the finances, to understand how to manage your costs and how to generate revenues that will make your business sustainable.
Despite cyclical economic challenges facing most industries, the reality is that broadcasting revenues are expected to surge.
We are going through a period where there has been a phenomenal change in terms of the landscape because of the digital switchover. We are now looking at over 100 free-to-air and digital broadcast stations, and because of that we have a lot of space. We also have a new law which is about 2 years old, requiring that you must have 40% going up to 60% local content. That was not there before. So suddenly there's an explosion in terms of the demand for content.
Content is king in this industry. Therefore, to deliver content that is relevant in a highly competitive, evolving market requires favorably skilled producers with strong business acumen. The workshops taking place here are aimed at addressing these issues. More than 50 world experts are facilitating these workshops, with the Africa Media Institute playing a prominent role.
The Institute seeks to address 4 key areas. The first one is skills development, training. The second, and training is also linked to capacity building, building the human capital. The second area of focus is strategy development, to assist the key players in the industry to develop and employ relevant and appropriate strategies that will ensure the sustainability of their businesses. So strategy is important. 3, it's about leadership management, really to assist at all levels. Leadership, if it does not matter whether you run a small production house or a big television network, it's all about the leadership of that business. And the last one, of course, is content. We really pay a great deal of attention to content, and particularly 3 areas: content development, how we develop, conceive, conceptualize story ideas, to develop those ideas into stories.
For upcoming content producers wanting to enter and thrive in the ever-evolving industry in broadcasting and video content production, some advice from Okosi.
I think the end user profile is critical. For a lot of traditional or even new players that are emerging on other platforms, it's really important to understand the consumer. Let's take, on the African context, for instance, the consumer is changing. There's a rise in the African middle class. There's more disposable income for people. People that traditionally didn't have television sets are now buying them because television sets are cheaper. People that couldn't afford subscription TV before are now able to do so because there are different packages that they can afford today. So that is a great opportunity for traditional players, but it does mean that there are also going to be people that are going to leapfrog watching television because they don't have the time, or they don't believe that they need to sit in front of the TV. They're going to want to watch it on their mobile devices or on their laptops. And it's going to be important for content creators, which again, I think that's why we need to be different. We can't think about ourselves as broadcasters anymore. We need to think about ourselves as content creators needs to think about, how do I make sure that my content is appealing and optimized for usage by that consumer?
Digital Africa was one of the very important discussions that took place here. The relevance of social media and the migration of consumers to smartphone apps is regarded as a big industry disruptor.
The development of mobile apps and the migration of users to their mobile phones has been, I think, a challenge for all media companies, and VOA is no exception. So we have a team in our office that actually looks at these things. They've developed apps, they place our content in social media, they advise us on how to parse or produce our programming so that it fits better for mobile app users who tend to be younger, who want their content quicker, and who may need it in certain formats. One of the biggest challenges, and I just attended a presentation on this, is really how to fit a good amount of content on a limited amount of bandwidth. And the expense of data still all over the world, and particularly in Africa, where there may not be as much disposable income to spend. So what do you spend it on, and how can you tailor your programming in a way that's relevant and short and affordable? So we're all working on that.
Africa is rising on so many levels. In the media space, the promising result is a pan-African approach to producing content.
Many of the large content houses, in my view, have been isolated from each other. And the big change that I've noticed in the last probably 3 to 4 years has been a Pan-African tidal wave. The content houses that are in Kenya are learning to work with the content houses from Nigeria, with the content houses from South Africa, and the products you're seeing in marketplaces like this are beginning to be much more Pan-African. You will see big displays from some of the Nollywood, increasingly from Ivory Coast, from Kenya, and the content that's created, not just news and information, which is what we do, but some of the fiction is starting to circulate across the continent. And so the blending of content across the continent is the big thing that I've seen, and the way that the end users, the broadcasters largely, who we deal with, that they are now pulling content from other broadcasters in Africa.
Nashina Mohammed for Joburg Today.